Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last episode of Duel the Takes. I'm Nate.
I'm Josh.
I'm Alden.
And today we are going to be ranking the, top 6 Edgar Wright movies, films that he has written and directed. Yeah.
I think we're all fans of Edgar Wright. Always enjoyed his work. This is only 6 movies on the list.
Yeah. We just got done literally an hour ago seeing the newest film, Last Night in Soho, which opened this weekend as of recording, Halloween weekend.
Yeah, we're celebrating Halloween today.
Yep. I'm Rick Flag.
Pirate.
I'm Mermaid Man.
Let me open up my list here, because, I made it on the train.
Who's kicking things off?
You know what?
Are we all going to say it at the same time?
We could. Fuck it. All right, everyone. We're going to count down 3, 2, 1, and we're going to say what movie we have in that spot. There will be no vetoes. It'll be just full-on debate.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Josh, you did this to yourself. What is everyone's number 6? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Last Night in Soho. All right. So, I don't want to say I'm disappointed. I thought the movie was pretty entertaining. I liked certain elements of it, but it's the only one of his movies that doesn't have a breakneck speed in terms of moving from character introductions to introducing the setting, and it felt like an hour longer than it needed to be, and also a little cheaper in the production value department than his last 2 outings. I feel like one thing that I really like about some of the other movies that are near the top of this list is how Edgar Wright has managed to, have a better and bigger production value with every movie, and this to me felt like a giant step back. Although I will say, the cinematography, the editing, beautiful, sound design was great, but I just felt like the story wasn't really all there. It could have been just condensed, I think.
I think it's paced, so slow. And, we'll probably talk about it later, but we praise Dune so much, and that's a slow-paced movie. I don't think slow pace always means a bad thing.
Right.
But I think in this case, especially what Edgar Wright is known for, I think it's fine when directors try something different, but this just didn't work for me. And I just found the twist kind of predictable. I didn't think it was written all that, interesting. The cinematography, like you said, is really good. But yeah, it's for me when it comes to this movie, it's last. I think it's a good movie, but it's all surface level. I don't think I'm gonna find a love for this years down the line like I've had for these other films.
That's true. I think thematically this one's certainly a lot darker than other movies he's done. The dude's known for comedies. This is certainly not really a comedy. There's a couple of funny moments, but it's not portrayed tonally as a comedy.
Yeah. And
I didn't find myself really liking too many of the characters. There's not really one to kind of ground you to the world that you're in. Yeah, it was good. It was very British.
Very British.
Yeah, a lot of London humor. Because London's a shithole. Who would have known?
Haven't been there.
Alden, what are your thoughts on Last Night in Soho? Why is it number 6 for you? You seem to like it more than us.
I didn't actually say it. I said a different movie, but...
Oh, what'd you say?
The World's End.
Oh. I could have this debate.
I don't know how much I get to debate Last Night in Soho up. I think it has absolutely no Edgar Wright mannerisms in it at all.
Yeah.
I feel like even if he was branching further away from what he's done, at least keep your character.
Which is, even if it doesn't have the Edgar Wright isms, that for directors, that still doesn't mean the movie is bad per se. Like we talked about with Nolan with Insomnia, there's no really Nolan isms in that movie, but it's also not a bad movie at the same time.
Right. Yeah, but this also doesn't feel like it was written by someone else. This doesn't feel like it was made by someone. That Insomnia was more or less a studio Hollywood remake of a foreign movie that was already done. And they just latched a director onto it. This, to me, feels like a director experimenting with things, wanting to, break from the mold of what they're used to doing. And I don't think The World's End is that at all. It's technically the third movie in the Cornetto trilogy, which is, I think, funny because it's the two main actors are the same. The writer and the director's the same, but the movies are all different. They're all different tone. They're all a different flavor of maybe the same story, and that's where I think the nickname comes from for there. But Yeah, The World's End is my least favorite of the three of those. It just feels very middle-aged in a way, and like I don't know. I don't really relate with the characters that much yet.
We're getting there, but
yeah, maybe in 7
the,
years.
I love The World's End. It's very high on my list. I think it's like Edgar Wright's like Secret Kino.
Sure,
but that's just me.
All right. Well, how do you think Last Night in Soho is Secret Kino? Okay,
It's not.
And it sounds like here at number 6, we're gonna have The Last Night in Soho. All right, you guys ready for this chaoticness? We're doing number 5 now. 3, 2, 1. This is where I have The World's End.
Yeah, this is where I have it
Baby
too.
Driver.
Whoa.
I said I was gonna cause chaos this episode.
All right, so we got Baby Driver versus The World's End here. Let's hear the take for Baby Driver.
I kept so quiet about this. I think Baby Driver is one of the most overrated film bro movies in the past 10 years. I don't really like this movie, and I think it's kind of been overhyped to shit. I saw it in the theater. I was excited for it. I think it's fine. Like, it's a good movie, but Drive's just better. I know there's like the comparisons, but Drive is just so much better than this fucking movie.
Well, I think what Baby Driver does really well is it blends like the elements of a musical and an action movie in a way that makes sense for American audiences. To me, Baby Driver feels like Edgar Wright's first American movie in a way, because very much his other movies are all set in like London or in England or somewhere else. This is set in Atlanta. It has an all like.
I think there's parts of the movie I really like, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole, like, spoilers for all these movies, but the whole, like, the John Hamm stuff at the end, like, the movie just kept fucking going for me. And I was just like, I don't know. I think the movie shits its pants a little bit towards the end.
I do think that the third act is probably the weakest part of the movie, but I can't. Like, a weak ending to a great movie doesn't really hurt it as bad for me as a movie that, I mean, in the counterpoint of The World's End, I guess that ending is pretty strong for the rest of that movie. But like the whole premise is just like, it feels non-consequential, which I guess is probably the point. I mean, The World's Ending and all these guys want to do is go on a pub crawl. Like,
Yeah.
we all lived that last year. Like, we know what that's like. But to me, Baby Driver feels like a major Hollywood blockbuster that also happens to be entirely edited and choreographed to a fantastic soundtrack, and a very diverse soundtrack, too. It's not like this movie where it's Last Night in Soho, where you get just
random music.
15 songs from the 60s, and that's the movie. This is all over the place. It goes all the way back from the 50s through the early 2010s with its soundtrack, and it pulls a lot of influence. Baby Driver, to me, really works because I think it's a simple story, and it doesn't get convoluted until the very end. Whereas The World's End is a simple story and stays a simple story.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. It's hard to debate these two movies, and they're both in different eras of Edgar Wright, too.
Well, they came out back to back, 4 years apart.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, The World's End to me is like, it's simple, but I just think it executes it like so flawlessly to me, and I love the cast and the visuals and just the whole idea of that. I think is just extremely creative, even though it is so simple.
Yeah.
He took such a simple thing and made it like such a great movie. And like, I don't want to knock on Baby Driver too much. I think like Last Night in Soho, I think it's got great cinematography. Like you said, the music and stuff is good, but I don't know. I just think it's really overrated.
I get it. I get why it's perceived as overrated. You could see it in like a Knives Out type scenario. But for me, I mean, I enjoyed seeing that movie, and it was mostly just like an entertainment value. Like, the story's simple. It's just like Drive. It's a simple-ass story, and it's not hard to follow. But I think the visuals were really cool. The fact that everything is synced up and synchronized. We're seeing a rise of this in fucking trailers now. Every single trailer ever since Baby Driver has come out is like, oh, we need a section where we have all the cuts to a breakdown from the drum beat of the song and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think it's very influential on other films.
I think debating these between movies is tough. So can I put in a different movie to throw into the pool?
Sure. What do you think would be better at number 5?
If we both feel very strongly about these two movies, because I'm guessing Baby Driver is Alden's number 1 because it was in his top 20 of all time. How about Scott Pilgrim here? If we're going to talk about movies that are a little overrated.
I'd rather see Scott Pilgrim here than Baby Driver, for sure.
Look, I agree, but I don't think either of those are at this level.
So we got to bully Josh into The World's End?
I guess.
What's your favorite scene in The World's End? Because mine's in the first 5 minutes.
The bathroom scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
that bathroom scene's really set up really funny.
I'm trying to think of like visual gags that are solely unique to The World's End. Because like I think it has that same kind of kinetic editing style as Hot Fuzz, but the same kind of I don't know, like just.
I also loved like the cast. Like I believe these guys were all like old friends before, and I like that some of them like still see each other, or you got the one that's like he's kind of got his regular job and stuff and doesn't really like talk to them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And I feel like this movie will just get better as I get older. Like you said before, I think we'll start relating to that more and more as like our friend groups get older in life.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like
How do I relate in Baby Driver?
John Hamm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just comes down to what you prefer in watching a movie like that. I mean, if we want to talk about Scott Pilgrim, I think that's actually a good point. Is who am I supposed to relate to in Scott Pilgrim? Because you
Scott Pilgrim himself is kind of a dick.
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that movie really it has the visual presentation and the flair of something like a Baby Driver.
Yeah.
You know, it's super stylized. It looks like some scenes are in comic books, some scenes are in video games. It has this kinetic, very unique editing style that hasn't really been replicated since. And I think that element of it elevates it for me over some, like, The World's End, it could be directed by anyone else. I don't think it would be as good. I don't think it would be, I think the fact that Edgar Wright is on that movie makes it better, but I don't think anyone else could do a movie.
I feel like you could say the same for, like, Baby Driver.
Who else could direct a movie like Baby Driver and make that work? Sure, maybe James Gunn, but I don't think everything would be a musical. Like, I don't think it would be.
I don't think The World's End would be as funny if somebody else directed.
I agree there, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's nothing really about the presentation of The World's End that makes it iconic to Edgar Wright. I think thematically it does. Like, I think the characters, the acting, the way the story goes, it's about friendships. It's about relationships with people that,
I think it makes a lot of sense to have the third movie in this, like, unofficial trilogy to be about friendships, because now this cast and director has worked with each other for 3 movies now, and it kind of felt like an end of an era, while Edgar Wright goes on to do bigger things.
Alden, how do you feel about Scott Pilgrim versus the World being placed at number 5?
That seems like a spot or two too early. I'm not, like, that offended at it, but I don't know. I don't get the same enjoyment out of The World's End that I do the other two.
I think Scott Pilgrim has a lot of fun visuals. It has, the dog agrees with me that, like, it has, like, it's like a video game movie, but it's not officially, like, based on a video game or anything, but it takes elements of that in its visuals, and I like the whole, like, when the 1-up thing, or when he's taking a piss, you see the piss meter. There's a lot of creative visuals in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I think where it lacks is kinda in its story. Like, it ends, I guess, fine, but there's no, like, redemption for Scott Pilgrim, I think.
I think it sets up a lot of interesting characters and a lot of interesting things, but then doesn't really, like, elaborate on them or give them enough screen time to warrant, like, an arc. Like, I like meeting all these exes. Like, that part of the movie is cool, and I get that it's supposed to be like a triumph of a hero defeating all these exes, but
the cast, like compared to, like, where all these actors are, is kind of interesting too, because this is right before Captain America, Chris Evans, right before Pitch Perfect, Anna Kendrick, I'm definitely missing more people.
Audrey Plaza's in it.
Audrey Plaza's in it. I think she was in Parks and Rec around this time.
Mm-hmm.
The cast ended up being a lot of actors that really
took off in the decade,
2010s. Yeah. This came out in 2011, so it's right in the beginning of the decade.
Yeah. All right. Well, if I have to place a vote here, it's The World's End.
Yeah, same for me.
I'm sorry, Josh.
Getting cucked.
All right, well, do we want to say what we have at number 4 now?
Yeah.
Or your next lowest movie, I guess. 3, 2, 1. Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim or Baby Driver, but Scott Pilgrim.
Which one do you like more?
Scott Pilgrim.
You like Scott Pilgrim more than Baby Driver?
But I think
that
they're
this
both
is probably where the fight is.
I think they're both on the overrated side, and I think that's why they're low on my list.
Yeah.
And I think it all comes down to just the list is so short, and I don't think any of these movies are particularly pieces of shit or anything.
No, I think these are all great movies.
Yeah. I think it came down to just like what I like
Uh-huh.
more, and like I don't know, maybe it's just I'm not a gamer anymore, and that's why Scott Pilgrim's lower on my list now.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like the presentation of Baby Driver more. I think that the cast has more to do. There's less characters, but there's still this feeling of like, oh, the Kevin Spacey character has like arranged all these different chess pieces to execute these heists.
Yeah.
And so like you get a taste of, you know, one team that goes bad. Baby's the only member that stays. You get that same feeling with John Bernthal's character who just disappears from the movie. You get that same element with Jamie Foxx and John Hamm being in the mix. And I think why I don't mind the third act, the way that it's presented, is John Hamm is a character that's clearly motivated by two things: having a hot girlfriend and cocaine. And you take both those things away from him, he's gonna kill you.
It just felt like a Pixar third act villain to me. I was just like,
well, I liked it because there wasn't like a motivation or a twist. He was always a bad dude.
Yeah.
Baby crossed him, and now he's gonna kill him.
But I feel like it was set up for like Jamie Foxx to have that climax, and then he just kind of like then his character just kind of like dies, and I'm like, oh, we're just gonna keep going.
Isn't that the red herring?
Yeah, I don't think there would have been a good motivation for his character to do that.
I think it's just because I just like Jamie Foxx's character so much more than John Hamm's. I'm just like, I don't care.
That's fair. But I feel like on the contrast here, since I think it's between these two, in Scott Pilgrim, I think the most interesting part's the beginning, seeing what like a everyday life looks like for Sex Bob-omb and you know, him meeting Ramona Flowers, wanting to fall into this challenge. Then the movie really takes off. But like in terms of things that I'm grounded to, you don't have the one Culkin brother that's in the movie anymore. He's pretty much gone. Then it's all these. It's just, I don't know. I like the movie a lot, but I think its visuals and its presentation are stronger than its story in a way that is just like, it's not something I want to stick around or rewatch multiple times. Every other movie on this list I've seen like 5 times. I've seen Scott Pilgrim twice.
I think I've seen Scott Pilgrim the most on this list.
Wow. I know you guys went and saw it in theaters.
Yeah, which was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
I rewatched it. I had to, for some reason, on Discord with some people, and the remaster that they did for some of the music was better.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's put it to a vote. Baby Driver or Scott Pilgrim here. What do you guys think belongs here?
I'll vote Baby Driver unless a miracle happens.
I think Scott Pilgrim is below Baby Driver.
I think Scott Pilgrim definitely belongs here too.
I don't think it belongs here. Just think it's below Baby Driver.
This is exactly where I had Scott Pilgrim, so.
Now we're in the top 3, the top half of this top 6. The 3 movies we have left are in order of release are Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and Baby Driver. So what do we all think belongs here at number 3? Baby Driver again? Yeah. It's not going to get that much higher.
Shaun of the Dead is on Quentin Tarantino's top 20 movies of the past, like, decade or the decade. What year did Shaun of the Dead come out?
2006.
Yeah, I think he said the past 20 years, 15 years.
For me, it's Shaun of the Dead. I like this movie a lot. And very similarly to some of the other movies on this list, I feel like it starts strong. I love like how we see Sean kind of operate through a day in the life of the zombie apocalypse, not knowing he's surrounded by zombies.
Yeah.
It's very funny. And that same kind of tone carries itself through the movie. Even in its scariest moments, it's more or less about friendship. It's more or less about trying to secure your family and you're in your found family at the end of the world. And I feel like more or less that's what The World's End is about too. And I think Shaun Dead it knocks it out of the park in a bigger and better way, in my opinion. I think it has the hook of like, oh, what if like a zombie outbreak happened, but then keeps this tone of a buddy comedy through and through.
I think it's a very influential movie. Like, the way, like, Edgar Wright, like, sets up the dialogue in that movie in some sequences. I know Guy Ritchie has been doing that for a long time, but I feel like Edgar Wright just nails it.
I think it's also, it's his first directorial feature film that he also wrote. It screams Britain.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's definitely something you can't ignore when it comes to Edgar Wright movies. And for me, it isn't necessarily a bad thing in this one. I think it negatively impacts like Last Night in Soho, where it's like this is almost hard to relate to,
Yeah.
It's unforgivably British. But I like Shaun of the Dead a lot, and it's one that I think has staying power in like cultural relevancy just because of the zombie trend that happened like shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Probably relaunched by 28 Days Later, which was a little bit before, but
Yeah, it came out at the exact right time because the zombie genre wasn't so oversaturated like it was like years later. Well, 3 years after Shaun of the Dead, that's when Zombieland came out, right?
Yeah, and Zombieland was huge as well, but I feel like tonally I like this movie more. Like, I think I like the characters more, I like the setting and like the overall cheekiness to it, because like Zombieland turns into an action movie in the third act, and it's fine. Like, that's more or less what an American audience wants, but like, sure, there are zombie kills in the movie, but they're more or less played for laughs, and it fits that same tone that you've had established the entire time. Zombieland tries a little too hard to be scary too, and I feel like Shaun of the Dead just knows like there's creepy elements, but it's not a horror movie. It's a comedy. Alden, what says you? What do you think belongs here at number 3?
I'm gonna agree with you with Shaun of the Dead.
Damn.
Wow, Baby Driver's getting higher than I thought.
Sheesh.
All right. Well, we're in the top 2 now, and Baby Driver needs to be placed here, I think. Is Baby Driver your number 1?
Yeah.
Okay. It's down between Hot Fuzz and Baby Driver, Josh. Which way are you leaning?
Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz was like ranked last when I ranked like the trilogy.
Oh, wow, really?
So I'm really like...
You got shafted. I think Hot Fuzz is the best of the Cornetto trilogy, for me.
They're all great.
They are.
I can't, it's literally compare, this is a weird comparison, but it's like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. No matter which one you say, I'm gonna respect it, whichever one's your favorite.
As long as you've seen one of them, I feel like you have a good sense for the whole tone of the trilogy. I just like Hot Fuzz the most because it reminds me of like the other movies of the action genre that I like so much.
Right.
Like, it very much is like making homages and direct references to the characters watching Point Break, and I think that's very fun. Like the scene where he trips over the fence again and just starts shooting the gun straight up in the... It's hilarious. I think it's the funniest in terms of the visual gags, and I like the mystery of it all. Like, you get caught up in it while you're watching it. You're like, oh, this is like over the top and cheesy.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love how they make this like quaint little British town just full of evil ass old people. Like, it's so fucking funny to me. I've watched Hot Fuzz probably the most out of all of these movies, and I can't think of a mood where I wouldn't be down to watch it again.
I feel like it needs to get elevated over Baby Driver because it's everything what I love about Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright does some tremendous things as a director in Baby Driver, but he just makes great comedies. Like, they're just great. Like all the funny stuff that's in movies like Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim are because of Hot Fuzz and the other 2 movies. Like, it's just so influential not only for Edgar Wright, but I think for other comedy movies. I think the Hot Fuzz, The World's End, Shaun of the Dead, especially Shaun of the Dead, I think were very influential, leaning towards American movie culture when it came to comedies and stuff. And I think that's why in the late 2000s, early 2010s, we kind of saw a resurgence with that type of comedy with Zombieland and other stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the reason why I would put Hot Fuzz over Baby Driver 2 is simply the fact that I think it achieves more. Maybe not so much in like the soundtrack and like the editing per se, but the kinetic storytelling of the movie is great. Because like he's like, oh, I guess I'm getting relocated from being this action hero cop in the big city to this small town, and it's edited like an action movie as he's getting there.
Yeah.
And then he's just fucking sitting there on a train, just like miserable. And it's great. I like how rude the townspeople are to him, and I also like how the movie's more or less a Western, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much like a new sheriff rolls into town, and he's here to protect justice. It has a lot of really great elements of other movies, but is still very much uniquely its own thing.
Yeah.
And its take on like violence, gun violence especially, is so over the top, and it's.
And we're still getting memes about like some scenes and stuff.
If it's not Baby Driver, Hot Fuzz is his most American movie. It's a Western with a fuck ton of guns. It just happens to be set in some quaint British village.
Yeah.
Alden, any final defense for Baby Driver? Why you think it's better than Hot Fuzz? It's not British.
That's a good one. I'm glad you gave it to me. I don't know. I really like the cinematography and the tracking of the cars and the stunts and everything done in Baby Driver.
Yeah, I really like the chase scenes early in the movie. Kind of similar to Drive. I feel like it starts really strong with like that kinetic movement and the visual the visual composition when like he's driving down the highway and there's two other similar looking red cars and you see it from the helicopter and then you see it on the road. It's like, it's really meticulously laid out and really strong. It's one of my favorite things about Baby Driver, but yeah, like what you're saying, as the movie goes on, the action scenes get dumber, and I love how in Hot Fuzz, the gore just keeps getting upped the further into the movie it goes. Like, it starts off like just really cartoonish in terms of its style and its editing, but then it just like straight up goes into like buckets of blood for like the gore scenes, like the guy whose face gets pierced through the gravestone. It's like there's so much blood pouring out from underneath it. It's a good watch.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. Baby Driver at number 2 and Hot Fuzz at number 1.
My number 6 is Last Night in Soho. Number 5 was Baby Driver. Number 4 was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Number 3 was Hot Fuzz. Number 2 was Shaun of the Dead. And number 1 was The World's End.
All right, well, my personal list was number 6, Last Night in Soho. Number 5, The World's End. Number 4, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. 3, Shaun of the Dead. 2, Baby Driver. And 1, Hot Fuzz.
My number 6 was The World's End. Then my 5th was Last Night in Soho. Then Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim, Hot Fuzz, and then Baby Driver.
Why do you hate The World's End so much?
I don't know.
All right, and the group list, the list that we determined, the list that broke Josh's heart, the list that ended the show. Number 6, Last Night in Soho. 5, The World's End. 4, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. 3, Shaun of the Dead. 2, Baby Driver. 1, Hot Fuzz. I won. I guessed the list completely. My list was the group list.
We can't end the show like this. This is like Thanos winning at the end.
All right, well, that does it for today's episode of Duel the Takes. Do we want to talk about some of the other movies we've seen recently?
Yeah.
The biggest, most anticipated movie of our lifetimes,
The Last
Night
Duel?
in Soho. No, The Last Duel came out. Josh, you're the only one who saw that.
Who saw it.
You're the only person in America that saw that. Tell us what The Last Duel's about.
It's directed by Ridley Scott, not the only Ridley Scott movie coming out in 2021. But yeah, it's the first movie that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote since Good Will Hunting. Like, they wrote together, which is crazy to think about. That was over 20 years ago. And no, it's based on a true story, though. The main 2 stars, I would say, are Jodie Comer and Matt Damon. Adam Driver is definitely a strong supporting character. But overall, I thought it's a great movie. The movie's kind of broken down into 3 chapters, and I think the first chapter with it kind of focuses on, I guess, minor spoilers, it kind of focuses on Matt Damon's character, which I think he's the weakest performance and this is the weakest part of the movie, so I don't think it starts off great. When we got like 20 minutes in, I was like, oh no. But chapters 2 and 3, I think, the stakes just went so high, and you're you're so like you want to know what happens in that duel at the end. I knew it was based on a true story, but I didn't know like what actually happened in that duel. So I went in not knowing a lot, so it might be different for somebody that is like a history buff and maybe knows about what happened in this duel. But I found the movie really intriguing. After that first chapter, I think like it's just a really, I think, strong movie, and I would recommend it.
Yeah. I had all intentions of seeing it, but I feel like it just snuck up on me, and I don't know.
It was a big October.
Yeah,
I don't know why this movie was released in October. This could have been released like literally any other month.
Yeah, honestly, and it's definitely a huge bomb. The budget was like over $100 million, I think.
Yeah,
something like that, really high, and it opened with like what, 14 million or something.
I think 6 million.
That's devastating.
Yeah,
that's not good.
No.
I think that's a perfect movie to cross-release on like Apple TV Plus or something. Like at this point,
I don't know why the movie had $100 million budget. Like I get it was a period piece, but like I don't know. I feel like
the names in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Those actors aren't working, even if they wrote the script and are co-producers. They're not working for under $10 million.
It's also a legendary director.
Yeah, of course.
It. Yeah.
Ridley Scott's got the House of Gucci coming up soon. I don't care.
Yeah.
Dune happened. Probably one of the most anticipated movies for me for a long while. I felt like a lot of my year was like waiting to finally get to Dune since we thought it was coming last year.
Yeah,
but
same.
Everything that went down, it was like, oh, Dune's around the corner. Dune will be in October or whatever. And for me, it pretty much lived up to my expectations. I think it was what I was expecting from Denis Villeneuve for a modern take on Dune in terms of the visual presentation, in terms of the story. I think it does a great accomplishment of being a pretty faithful adaptation of the first chapter or the first like half of the Dune novel. Personally, my biggest critiques are in the soundtrack and the production design. The elements, the world just don't feel lived in. It feels like a play.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that there's a culture on any of these planets, and maybe that's part of the point, but I don't know. I'd expect more of a psychedelic kind of tangibility to the editing and to the music especially, and was hoping for a little bit more of this sense of culture, things that people could like relate to or find fascinating and breed like a bunch of nerds for Dune, you know?
Yeah.
And I just feel like the way that this is presented is almost sterile. Like I feel like the people that are going to really like this movie are just people that like it's like the characters and I guess like the overall narrative and where it's going.
I guess like if you're looking for this big bombastic sci-fi Star Wars like movie, that's just not what it is. And I wasn't expecting that, but I think a lot of people were. And I think a lot of people that didn't know the story of Dune was also expecting more Zendaya. And the trailers and the marketing didn't help that either.
Definitely not.
But the movie made enough of a profit to get a sequel, which I'm really excited for. Like, I thought this one was good. It felt like a really good beginning, but now I'm really excited for the second one because I think it really has potential to be something truly special.
All the things that make a great action sci-fi movie come in the second act, the second part of this story.
Yeah.
So
I just hope people stick around to see the second one, and the first movie didn't leave too much of a bad taste in people's mouth who were expecting this big sci-fi epic.
What was your take on it, Alden?
I really liked it. It was definitely, I guess, one of my favorite entries into like a space sci-fi film. But I think I really like how the ships and the lights that they take around them in the buildings, all of that is like designed to, it's nice. I don't know. I think I like more of how this movie looks than I do of what's in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably just down to it being an introduction to the world.
I wish we had more, just speaking of the visuals, and I'm sure we'll get it in the next movie, more scenes just in space. Because the look of the planets, it almost looked like it was painted on, and I thought it looked stunning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that like blue planet in like it's like in the first 30 minutes.
That's
or
what I was
something.
thinking.
I think
It
it's when
literally
they're
looks like
leaving
a painting.
Caloron or whatever, and they're heading to Arrakis. I think is where that is.
You know what it reminds me of is the opening shot of A New Hope, where that
Yeah.
planet, they have that glow around it that like it feels like something, I don't know, sci-fi-ish, and it feels old and new at the same time.
Yeah. So you said there's another movie you want to talk about. Is it Marvel's Eternals?
Not yet. That's next week apparently. It does have the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any MCU movie. By the time this comes out, Eternals will see it, and maybe I will love it. Maybe it's the greatest MCU movie of all time, and everybody's wrong.
And it's just got a trailer almost as bad as Avengers.
I did see Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Oh,
So did I.
What? Tell me about Let There Be Carnage, because you told me it's this generation's Batman and Robin, and I need to see it. I was enticed by the fact that the movie had a runtime of exactly 90 minutes. That is the sexiest thing about Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage to me.
It is paced like cocaine. It's unreal.
Okay.
Like, it's weird too because it has such a short runtime and it still felt like not a lot happened in the movie. Like, it felt rushed, but at the same time I was like, what actually happened in this movie?
Was there carnage?
Yeah, I feel like I was satisfied with the carnage we got. It was stupid and dumb like I thought it was going to be, but I was like, I guess I knew that going in. What I liked about this one a lot more than the original movie is that the original movie I don't think is as self-aware. Andy Serkis knew exactly what he was doing with this movie. He was just like, fuck it, let's just make this a really cheesy, ironic superhero movie. And I think in this day and age where you have movies like Eternals coming out that takes itself so seriously, I think it's refreshing to have a movie like this once in a while.
So you're telling me that this is a less earnest Wonder Woman 84 then?
Yes.
So it's not, it plays into the
totally
it
self-aware.
plays into the camp.
Yeah.
Damn, I might like it then.
Mm-hmm. It's like a bad Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
It definitely,
but it has
does
the
not have
entertainment value.
The problem of where Tom Hardy was taking it too seriously, like in the first one.
Yeah,
we're 2 movies in, and I don't know what Tom Hardy's accent is yet.
We'll find out in the third one.
But Woody Harrelson, was a big meme.
Yeah, I liked it though. That was a fun meme.
The final sequence is very like Sam Raimi, bombastic, like stupid fun.
Well, how would they do Screech or Siren or whatever her name was?
Yeah, that was, I guess, a spoiler. I didn't know going in, but they straight up called her a mutant.
She's on the poster.
Yeah, and I was like, huh? Because that opens up a lot of things here when you say that word in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, is the X-Men in this universe? Like, it seems like Venom's like the only superhero thing in this universe so far, but maybe not. I don't know. I found a lot of enjoyment from it, and I think it'd be a good watch with some friends.
All right. Well, anyone have anything else you guys want to talk about on the last episode of Duel the Takes?
Yeah, I'm gonna say No Time to Die was pretty good.
Oh,
yeah, how was that? I didn't see it yet.
I guess I didn't have a whole lot of expectation of what it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I am satisfied at what it was.
Oh, and Halloween Kills.
Oh, fucking Halloween Kills sucked.
Yeah.
The movie was not good at all.
There was the middle of the movie got so pretentious.
Yes.
It was so laughable.
It was literally like the amount of heavy-handed exposition on directly talking about the theme felt like I was watching The Dark Knight, but this had done nothing to earn it. And there was no actual...
They did the Dark Knight ending in the middle of the movie.
Yes. With this mob crowd wants to kill some random dude in the psych ward because they think he's Michael Myers, even though he's built like me and homeless looking. They're like, that's Michael.
He's built like Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
He's literally Danny DeVito running around.
Yeah. They bully him to the point of suicide. So it was just not what I was hoping that movie to be. I don't think it's what that series needs. I think they need to lean into the fun horror schlock and not take themselves seriously, because the first Halloween 2018 of this new Blumhouse reboot trilogy was just the right amount of gory kills and funny moments where it's the two best things you got going for you in a slasher movie. You want both of those elements. So, maybe doubling down on the kills. I do think there's a couple of gory kills, a couple good moments.
I think it's the highest kill count of any Halloween movie.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And I think it's like top 5 for any slasher movie.
That really would not surprise me.
Yeah. Because the end there, he just takes out like the whole town pretty much.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, what the hell's this third movie going to be about?
I have no idea
why'd
where
they
they're
kill
gonna
Judy
go.
Greer in a montage at the end?
Yeah. I guess that was just to have a weird, like, a ending, like, oh my god. But it was like
in a montage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they built that character up for the whole movie for nothing, too.
No one's ever really gone.
That's true. Jamie Lee Curtis has come back 3 times now.
I feel like they Star Wars the shit out of this. They Disney Star Wars Halloween.
Yeah. No, I'm very curious. Like, it's literally the Last Jedi situation. I'm curious of how they're going to end it, but the journey has been really weird.
Well, they're doing a time jump, apparently.
Oh, really? So Jamie Lee
4
Curtis
years?
is going to be even older? Okay, so 4 years isn't that bad.
Because these take place on Halloween of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Both movies take place one right after the other. This apparently takes place the Halloween of 2020. So, I guess 2 years difference?
Yeah. I remember watching this movie in theaters and just being like, wow, this movie, the first one feels like it came out like 10 years ago. Just because of everything that's happened. They have the movie pick up right where it left off from a movie that like came out right before
the pandemic.
Yeah,
right
it felt
before the
so
world
weird.
ended.
I was like, what year am I in?
Yeah. I had to remind myself, like, oh yeah, the father died.
Yeah.
Okay, what else happened? Let me recap. I should have watched them.
I should have rewatched it before, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the plan because Grace, who's been on the show so many times, we've been watching the Halloween movies. She thinks they're all dumb except for 3.
It's the right opinion. I think I agree with her.
I feel like she would have hated this one, but I'll be
Yes.
curious once we get to those, what she thinks. Probably next time. It's already Halloween, so next year when Grace wants to watch horror movies again.
All right. Well, we'll see you next year when Grace wants to watch horror movies again.